Welcome to episode 14 of the How Is He podcast, joined as always by my co-host, Paul Padraig. This week we'll catch up on 35 results. Pop, we missed out on last week's.
Yeah.
And we also have a guest on with us. We've had legends on, we've never had a superstar, Pop.
No.
A man who is a true icon to us here in Carlow and everywhere he's played. A player who has graced the pitch 759 times and scored an impressive 230 goals. He showcased his talent with 12 professional clubs and he's still going. Not only that, to my knowledge, he's the only Irish man to have the prestigious FA Cup Golden Ball. He also picked up 5 Player of the Year awards at 5 different clubs, along with 4 under-21 international caps, and was also called into the Irish squad under Mick McCarthy. And I'm sure I've missed a few bits. A massive welcome to Padraig Amond, or Padraig Amond.
Welcome, Podge.
Let's just get the elephant in the room out of the way. There's 2 Podges here, Padraig. I don't know what we're going to call you.
Well, one looks fit and the other one doesn't, so I don't know.
Thanks, Pop. Appreciate that. I've been doing it.
Podge, you want to start working out?
Podge, how are you?
Call me Padraig. I only went with Podge because lads in England couldn't pronounce it. So
Yeah.
it was everything. I got butchered. That was before you even went to the surname.
Was it?
Amond. We'd be listening to the teams being named out and the lads be going, the French lads playing today. Amond. So.
You're looking fit. How are you?
All good, yeah. All good. Delighted to be back home, to be honest with you.
Flying?
Yeah.
You're going really well?
Things going really, really well. Just really enjoying life at the minute. She just said back home, been away a long time, and kids have settled in, Queeve has settled in as well, which is really, really good. Most important thing, and yeah, loving life.
How many years were you in England?
I was gone since 2010, so 14 years I was gone. Yeah, just under 14
It's a long time.
years.
Fair play.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Like, it was a brilliant journey. Like, and obviously I don't think it's finishing anytime soon yet or anything like that.
You're
like,
still,
you know,
you're still in the pump, yeah.
But obviously I had a few years before that. Like, so I'm 18 years playing now. So
Here's one for you. 18 years playing professional, carved your own path, never had a trial.
No, yeah, never had a trial. Yeah,
Never had a trial.
never had a trial.
Crazy, isn't it?
Is there any professional that's played 14 years in the game and never had a trial?
Never had a trial.
To make it, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, it's funny, right? Like, you talk about trials and all that. I remember we went over to play in a tournament with Shamrock Rovers when I was under 11s, and it was in the Solar Travel World Cup, and I got player of the tournament over there, and things were going really well. And apparently Liverpool and Everton and all the Tranmere, the 3 Merseyside teams were after me because it was where it was. But there was the case that was after happening a couple of months before, or a month before, and it was being heard throughout it all. And there was a young lad that had gone over and had a very bad experience on trial, so they'd stopped people going over at 11, 12, and they'd stopped it to 14. So that killed everything.
Really?
Straight away with that one. They were always they were saying, we'll keep an eye and we'll look at this, but
Yeah.
things obviously change in the 2 or 3 years. And yeah, didn't really have a trial over in England. I had a couple of Irish trials, but like, again, they were
International trials?
yeah, well, I had a year at Crumlin, and I went for an Irish trial. And the team was funny. The Crumlin team, we had won everything that year. We were the best team, and we played against the best of Ireland. I beat them 4-1. I scored 2 and never got a call again.
Did you?
Yeah, no, it was just, I think the team was picked, or the squad was picked beforehand. But
Yeah.
we were very lucky with. Don't get me wrong, I was up against a lot of good strikers at the time. Like Anthony Stokes was my age, and Adam Rooney.
Was there strikers in that squad that didn't deserve to be in it, did you think?
Do
Do you think you were as good, if not better, than some of them?
I could see why they were getting called into it. I probably thought
Was it a Dublin
deserved
pick?
like probably. It was. I think
You're fighting up,
there was
you're up,
one. There was one. Eddie Nolan from Waterford was the only one who was,
Right.
I think, outside of it, and maybe there was Darren Dennehy from
It is a factor though, isn't it?
at the
the
time
Dublin
probably.
thing.
But then there were like anyone that was getting called in were all playing for the top teams in
Right.
Yeah.
in Dublin. I was at. When I went to Shamrock Rovers first, like Shamrock Rovers, it was a name. It wasn't. They were like division below.
It wasn't the Shamrock Rovers against
No. I think the year before, 2 years before I signed, it was Talatown.
All right, okay.
And how I ended up at Shamrock Rovers was a cousin of mine, Ebbie Quigley, was playing for Shamrock Rovers at the time, himself and Wayne Donoghue. And we went up to watch them play last game of the season. We were playing Belvedere and Kiltipper, and myself and my brother were kicking around on the pitch at half time. Yeah, John. And someone came out and just said, "Oh, who's 2 young lads are there at half time?" And my mum and dad were like, "Jesus, what did they do wrong? Like,
Yeah.
did they take a football or something?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they were like, "No, we want you to go up on trials up here." And
And kicking around the ball at half time.
just kicking around the wall at half time. And I went in.
Probably no bicycle kicks or something.
I don't know. Didn't do anything different than what I would have done in the
Yeah,
garden
yeah.
at home
Yeah.
with John, like, to be honest with you. And then went up and had my first training session with them. And 5 minutes into the training session, I got pulled to the side and I was like, "Where's your parents?" I was like, "They're over there." And they're like, "Right." They
How old
went
were you
over-
then? How old were you?
11.
11.
11. They went over and they were like, "Right, he's not going away here without signing him tonight." And
Wow.
I didn't sign for about 3 or 4 weeks, or maybe a bit longer, because Mum and Dad were trying to weigh up the whole travelling.
Yeah, of course.
'Cause obviously
Yeah, of course,
we
yeah.
knew from Ebbie and Wayne the year before, like how much it was, like, taxing on
Travel-wise,
them
I guess,
travelling.
yeah.
It wasn't just a case you're just travelling to Tallaght for training. Like, you could have been
Yeah.
playing anywhere in Dublin, the
But
far side of the
it's
city.
their
But then,
work schedule as well, though. Paul.
yeah,
You
but
know what I mean?
that's the big thing. Like, and then the big thing is, without the two of them, there's not a hope I'd be sitting here with you right now talking
Yeah.
about everything else. Like,
Absolutely,
and I'm forever indebted to them for everything that they
And Dad is a good man. I mean,
would you believe? Yeah, would you believe it? They never missed a game. There was always one of them at a game I played, bar my professional debut. Yeah, played at Loan away. They were on their cruise for their wedding anniversary.
Go away.
And it came out of the blue. I played a game for Rovers 21s. My first game for Rovers 21s 4 days previous, and after I obviously played well again. I didn't overly think much of it. I must have been doing something right.
It's the simple things, though. That's what you're doing right. You're not overplaying it.
Look, I think the one thing they always said to me, they said your movement's very good.
Yeah.
You're clever. This, that, or sort. But I thought it was instinctive. Really, I wasn't thinking about it. I didn't think I was overly clever with my movement. It was just I did what I did. Like, I wasn't thinking about why I was doing it. Or anything like that. It kind of just came natural. Kind of came natural, yeah. But got a phone call then to say, like, I was in school and I got a phone call to say, like, "Oh, you're travelling with the first team tomorrow. Can you get up, or can you get a half day off school?"
Was that
like,
Pat Scully?
Pat Scully was the manager,
good man, Pat,
Dave Campbell was the 21s manager, and he rang me, and I was like, yes. I rang my mum and dad, and they were like, obviously delighted when I got them, because I think they were at sea at the time. They were over in, I think it was in the Caribbean or something.
Right.
And they don't think they missed a game for my whole career up to that.
How did you get to that game?
I got the train up and met Gareth Cooney, who was in the first team for Rovers. Never met him in my life until then. He picked me up at the train station and went across and got the bus over that Loan with the lads, and I got onto a bus of lads.
Stories like that, man.
Got onto a bus of lads I never met in my life, and
How old were
yeah,
you? 20? 19?
no, I was only was it 17?
17.
What's going through your head stepping onto that bus?
I don't
Did
know
you
any of
expect,
these
do you
lads.
think you're getting just part of the squad for experience, or I might get game time?
I had no idea.
You had no idea,
I had no
no,
idea.
yeah.
Again, I was probably going up with the
experience of it.
experience of it all,
Yeah.
and getting used to it, because they had I had only re-signed for the club 4 months before that, because I was at Crumlin for a year under 16, and I went back at under 17 level, and I skipped an age group. But I didn't skip an age group for any reason apart from my brother John was playing with the under 18s, and it just made sense that I was good enough to play for them. But there was no point going up to
Travelling
Dublin.
together.
My mum was gone this way with me, and my dad was gone the other way with. So, because at one stage Aaron was up there as well, my younger brother,
right,
and there was 3 of us going up, and he was up of a Saturday, we were up of a Sunday, and then but we were up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in between, and then my game could have been in Skerries at 12 o'clock on a Sunday, and John's game could have been in Tallaght, so you're like, it was completely split in that way. So like, it was
John was a good player, wasn't he?
yeah, he was very good. He was very good. He was a very good right full when he
Yeah.
was playing up in Dublin. Came back down here, and I think he played centre midfield and stuff like
Played
that.
for Pats
Played
for a
for
bit.
Pats for a bit, yeah.
Yeah, I hounded him for years trying to get him back.
Yeah,
He was
no.
Badminton Ireland, he was flat out with, or is he slow?
He's a coach for Badminton Ireland now. He's an
Yeah.
international coach with them as well. He's
Brilliant.
he's one of the officers in there, so he's doing really well.
That's brilliant.
He's for
Olympics?
Midlands. No. He coaches some of the young lads that will be there, and he's been through all that. Like, but he's a fantastic
Such a
badminton
fast
player.
sport, isn't it?
Yeah.
A few friends of mine played.
Oh,
God.
it's like, it's unbelievable. I
Oh,
went to
no,
watch them a few weeks
Carlow,
ago.
it's big, isn't it? Ballinabrahan area.
It was like we would have played community games and that for.
I think they won 21 20 games in a row or
25 in a row. Yeah,
The Bubba Amond
25 in a
is-
row.
we were part of it. I remember never forget. Like it was a case of like we were the 21st year that done it.
Yeah.
I was like, don't lose it. Don't be the one to lose it.
Yeah.
And once you got over age, I was like, well, that's it. We're in grand. We've done our bit, So, but it was brilliant. Yeah.
Tell me this, reel it back a little bit. Did you play in Carlow Juvenile?
Yeah, played with Newark when I was
First club.
I was about 4.
4 years of age.
4. Again, I was going. John would have been 5, but I wouldn't going over without him. I was always on his coattails.
Was there games?
Probably. I remember playing games. I remember there's videos at home of playing tournaments and stuff like that. But it was probably in-house tournaments or in-house games
gotcha.
or anything like that. But we were in the Kilkenny League at the time. But we would have. It was under 8s and under 9s. I think was the youngest. But I probably started playing under 9s when I think it was 6. And I was a dot. But again, it was because John was there, and I was always training with John. I was always playing football with John. And always wanted to play it. Always wanted to be John, because he's your older brother. He was only 11 months between us, so we were always. But then I would, when I got to under 9s levels, obviously John was under 10, so I play with the under 9s and then go play with the under 10s straight afterwards. But it got to the stage my mum had to start bringing my birth cert to games and stuff like that, because they were going, he can't be playing that game. He's playing the older age afterwards. They're twins.
Yes.
They thought we were twins. We thought we were twins because we were at the same haircut. We looked alike.
Yeah.
All of that. So it was like, no, you can't. They're twins. You can't play it. So, but that probably really, really stood to me in time afterwards, playing with the older lads.
I'm just going to ask you that. I remember just not to change the subject. I remember Lar Matney was involved. I mentioned him before. He was involved with Carlow Town. He went in and kind of done a whole coaching thing, and his thing was that. So the strongest under 10s team play under 11s league. Strongest 11s team play 12s league. Do you think that's... the more I thought about it, it was actually a great idea. And you're a good example of that, right?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with stuff like that. And that was why lads who I know that went over on trial to England, and I spoke to them and all that, it was no good going over if you were going over at under 14 and being the best under 14 player. You had to be the best under 15 player.
Yeah.
That was it. You were being thrown into the bigger ones, and you would be you always had to be the best at the next level above you, or the 2 levels above you, or fit in and look not out of place in it, or else
even though
never
it's
was
not
going to
your
happen. Even though it's not your proper age group,
Yeah.
because you're being judged off them. That was it. You'll see a lot of lads going over. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of late developers, and I'm probably a prime example of that as a late developer. In terms of not getting trials and stuff like that, but I'm not the only one. There's plenty of lads you talk about the beginning. Is there anyone Seamus Coleman is the best example of that?
Yeah.
He's the best example, and the reason he's had such a successful career, in my opinion, is because he played 100 games from the League of Ireland before he went over. So he had 100 men's games before he left, and he wasn't going over and playing academy football. And even though they might have been technically better footballers than what Seamus was when he got to Seamus' age, but they had never played in front of a crowd, they didn't play in front of or play with someone when it mattered if you made a mistake. If they made a mistake at academy level,
isn't he?
Oh, it's brilliant. He's there 19 years now, 18, 19 years.
He'll have a job. He'll have a job there for life.
He will, yeah. He will, and he deserves it, because he's probably one of the most talented players we've ever produced, and he nearly slipped through the net as well.
Yeah, well, Roy Keane is the same story, isn't it?
Completely. But he nearly slipped through the net at Sligo. Sligo were getting rid of him.
Yeah.
The manager at the time, Sean Connor, I think, gave him his debut, in fairness. But I think he wanted to get
Sligo were strong then, weren't they? They weren't too bad.
They weren't too bad, but Sean didn't fancy him, and he was going back to Donegal to play Gaelic, as far as I know, and then Paul Cook came in, and rest is history then. And then it's all about, talk about timing and luck and everything. The Everton scout, the head Everton scout, his lad was playing for Sligo at the time as well, Sean Doherty. His dad was the head scout at Everton, and he came over to watch his son play, and all of a sudden this gem is sitting there playing, and he's doing brilliant, and that was it. I think he went to Celtic on trial, and they were humming and hawing about signing, and Birmingham the same, and Paul Cook had connections in Everton and Liverpool and stuff like that. He was trying to push Liverpool to sign him, but
it's a fairy tale, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think them days are dying. I think them days of scouts seeing players and picking up players are dying. like I don't know if you know Willie Gorman. He would be Aston Villa scout. We would have brought Mickey Drennan over to Aston Villa.
Yes, yeah.
I would have had his sons at FC Carlow, gentleman. I remember speaking to him. It's before COVID, at last Kennedy Cup I was at.
Yeah.
He was down at. And it was a Wednesday, and obviously the Kennedy Cup goes Monday to Friday, right? And I said, well, what do you think? He says, I have to go home. I have to go tomorrow. This is Tuesday. I have to go tomorrow. Wednesday, where are you going? Dubai. Going over to Dubai. He said, Podge, the world is so small now. He said, the days of us picking up players that likes of these things, unfortunately, unless it's an absolute gem like Seamus Coleman, are gone.
A similar story. We went up to the Milk Cup, and Chelsea were up there at the time, and all the parents came up and stuff like that. And I remember Mum and Dad telling me they would come to all the tournaments with us, then they'd stay up with us and they'd look after us and everything like that. And they said they were speaking to the fellas at Chelsea and stuff, and they were talking about what we do, and they got basically Abramovich was after taking over, and he said their objective as a club was to go to every country in the world and get the best player over that 14, 15, sign the best player in the world, the best player in that country.
Yeah.
So that's what you're aiming at, like, you know, like and again, probably another new thing now is that everyone who's 14, 15,
agencies.
16 now, they're all agencies are after them now. But it's so easy as well to get your own highlights up on YouTube and it's great that people can promote themselves, and it's good, but that
totally different, isn't it?
It means that the role of the scout is dying out at that level, probably, but it is brilliant.
Your man has a massive agency. Well, Graham Barrett has an agency, and Shane Hunt.
Stephen Hunt,
sorry.
Yeah.
He's the biggest agency in Ireland.
Yeah, he was trying to sign me a few years ago.
Was he?
He kept trying to get me to play golf. Yeah, kept playing golf against him if I lost. But and I spoke to him a few times. But I'm
gentleman,
very happy. Yeah, lovely man.
Yeah,
I always said to him, "No, I'm happy with my agent." I played with Graham. Graham was very, very good player.
Good player, yeah.
Played with him, and I signed with that agency initially, and then moved on to agencies. But Graham was very good.
Good player.
Yeah. He was very unlucky.
He related to me.
Is he?
Distantly, yeah.
Very, very unlucky with his injuries, like glandular fever when he was at Arsenal, and then he went on loan to Coventry, I think, and he just couldn't shake it off.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget, I ended up playing up front with him, and I'd done a project in school when I was a young lad, and it was about all the young Irish players coming up, and he was one of them. And I said it to him, I was like, I'd done a project on you not long ago. I was like, mate, he's like, stop, you make me feel old. And I know what he feels like now when I was a couple of lads at Waterford who hadn't more born when I made my debut, so I was trying to, it's gone full circle, but no, it's good.
That's crazy. You Rovers, you went on loan to Kildare, 07, back to Rovers, scored in Dublin Derby. Talk me through that feeling.
It was brilliant, yeah. Like the first year at Rovers, it was the first division. The Discover Ireland League, as the Rovers fans would call it, because we were travelling everywhere, and there were huge numbers travelling as well. And we're up in Finn Park, down in St Coleman's Park in Cove, down at Market Fields playing Limerick. One of the names they had at the time, it was a Limerick City, I think at the time, wasn't 37 maybe at that stage, or it wasn't 3D anyway. But that was brilliant, like getting the experience of playing against men, like, you know, and going and seeing all that, and we won the first division, and I thought, this is brilliant. Like, first year in football, I won a trophy. Brilliant. Win one of these every year. This will be great. And I don't think I won a trophy for another 10 years. So. But it was brilliant. But the plan was always for me when they got promoted was go back out on loan for 6 months, first half of the season to Kildare, and that was it. And
when was that decided?
It was decided the end of that season. It was always for my development. It was because it was going to be stepping into the Premier League, which was a very strong physical Premier League at that stage. So
did you do pre-season with them?
Done pre-season with Shamrock Rovers and everything with them, and then off to Kildare.
Right.
And went over to Kildare. And I made the conscious decision at the time that I was, because they said to me, you can come and train with us like a couple of days a week or whatever way you wanted to do it. And I was like, no. I said, I'm going to throw my lot in with Kildare, because I said I want to immerse myself into it. I wanted to be away from Rovers, to be like, well, this is where you are now. See what this is like, get that level, but know that you need to get back to that level. Yeah. And I didn't want to be like still going into Shamrock Rovers training, like, and almost being a spare part up there and being in the way. Yeah. I wanted everything to be with Kildare.
Well, to be fair, Podge, I remember going to watch you on Station Road quite a few times. I seen you score a brace against Wexford Youths. You never looked like a first division player. What were you then, 19?
Yeah, it was, well, just 18, turning 19.
You never look like I said to the outside before we came in, Predator. Like you never look like, do you know what? And that's no disrespect to the first division, but for me, looking at you that time in Kildare, I know you didn't score loads of goals, but I think you got to double figures, did you? Or in
no, I only played 13 games and scored 6, I think it was, or something. But it was like, again, the whole plan was to, I was just going there for the first couple of months of the season, and that was it. And then once the summer window opened up, I was going straight back there to be ready to play for the rest of the season at Rovers.
But
and I did, like, I went straight back into the Rovers first team squad.
That's what I mean, you were prime when you went back to them.
Played a couple of games.
But you were match sharp, weren't you?
It was match sharp, but I went straight in, played a couple of games, and then I remember there was an issue with my knee, and I was like, after playing Galway, starting against Galway and scoring, it was my first start in the Premier League. I was scored a diving header at the front post. I was playing really well. I was doing really good. I was, again, breaking into the team with likes of Andy Myler, who was a fantastic striker in the League of Ireland for years, and there was something wrong with me. I remember saying to someone, saying to the doctor, the physio at the time, and I got referred to the doctor, who was Alan Byrne, who was the Irish doctor he's only just finished the last couple of years. And he said, okay, we've done all the tests on it. I know now what they were testing. They're doing the dreaded cruciate test, you know, that one where you pull at it and you're going, now I see lads doing it and it wins. But I was not, and everything was all clear, everything was fine, and I'll never ever forget it. I was going across on, they thought it was my meniscus. I said, I'll get the end of the season, clear it out, be ready for pre-season, happy days. I was like, yeah, fine, because it was causing me no problems playing. Like, I was playing on it, there was no issue, but I knew there was like one day I felt, that was a little bit wobbly, but then it was fine. So getting the Lewis across to training, I was coming across, and I remember doctor rang me, went for a scan, and the doctor rang me, and I got off at the next Lewis stop after Houston Station, and he said to me, your cruciate's gone. Jeez. I said, what? He said, you've torn your cruciate ligament. I said, but how? I'm able to play? And he goes, I have no idea. He said, the scans come back, he said, you've torn a cruciate ligament. And I was like, burst into tears, because I was like, again, you're going back 17 years, it wasn't what it is now, where it was like, everything's okay, everything's advanced on. It wasn't as bad as what it was, like, but I was still thinking, that's the end of my career, like, you know, so.
Nuts.
It was crazy, like, and I got on I was going across, I was in DIT at the time. I wasn't going to train, I was going to DIT, probably for one of the only times I was going to DIT. Sorry, Mum and Dad. But got back onto Lewis, went back to the train station and just went home and just cried the whole way home. Thought, that's it, my career's over.
Where's the light in the tunnel then, Podge? When did you realise, do you know what?
Well, I got my operation, and they were able to push through and get a good surgeon in. Professor John O'Byrne done it up in Kappa Hospital. And even when I went in to get the operation, they were doing the tests and nothing was happening. It wasn't coming away, and they couldn't figure it out. So they sent me in for another scan again that morning of the operation to just double check. Yeah. And then apparently he said when they put me under and I went out, he flicked it and it went. He said I knew the quads were built up quite big, but because I knew what he was testing when they told me the first time, it was like holding it. As much as I tried to relax, I couldn't, and I was holding it. He said once you were out and everything was relaxed, it just went like a flick. Got the operation, everything just seemed to be going perfect in the recovery. I was doing a lot of it with Damien Sheen and Carlow down here, so I didn't have to be constantly up and down to Dublin all the time. And
Damien's very good, isn't he?
Brilliant. But again, like going back to Owen, people, everything, the two of them, brilliant. From the day I had my operation, I made my return to the first team 5 months later and scored with my first touch against UCD. Wow. And again, that's 17 years ago. That wouldn't be probably allowed now with the protocol of you know, you're an asset to us, and you know, we want to protect you long term if we're going to sell you on and all this. But it just, everything, we'd go to do recovery and I was able to do it, and then they'd look at the next bit and I was able to do the next bit. So it was like, I was constantly always 1-2 steps ahead of everything. And again, just complete luck. And again, touch wood, bit of wood here. I've been very lucky in my career with injuries. That's the only injury I had. I had one other injury, I broke my elbow. I missed a game. Missed one game, that was it. I fractured my elbow when I was at Newport, and it was in the run up to the playoffs.
How did you miss one game? Fractured.
Strapped it up. Couldn't do any more damage. So it was okay. I want to say once.
No cast or anything, just
No, it just affected me golf. That was it. No, but there was no. I hyperextended my elbow, fractured it on the inside, and they strapped it so it couldn't straighten fully. No, because they strapped it so it just couldn't extend it fully. Right. So I could get to maybe 95%.
Damage proof though.
But sure, I couldn't do any more damage, and whatever damage I was going to do, if I was going to do it there, I was going to miss the rest of the season. It was March, and pre-season was going to be July, so I was only going to be out for a couple of months. So if it happened in March, I would have been back for pre-season. Yeah. But we were going for the playoffs, and we ended up in the playoff final. So it was a risk I was willing to take, and a risk the club was willing to take. So that was something. But again, like that was complete luck with Rovers. I think I only missed about 5 games with my cruciate because the way the season finished.
Yeah,
because the season
we're
finished.
Summer soccer at that point, right? Yeah.
So that was why. And again, I broke back into the Rovers team very, very early after that, and like within 7 months of my, I think within 7 months of having my operation with cruciate, I was after making my Irish debut for the 21s. Because after breaking back into the team, things were going well, and things were just progressing for me naturally at Rovers, and it was just going really, really well for me, which was brilliant, and I was loving every minute. I was loving every minute.
But I think it's Susan's Brian McGuire done his cruciate. Remember him going through recovery, and he'd say to me, "There's no shortcuts."
There isn't. There's no shortcuts.
It's you have to work so hard to get back right.
I was just complete luck for me, complete luck, and as I said to you, maybe it's just some bodies are built different than others, and it's not saying I'm Robocop or anything, far from it, but because I've no pain threshold. If you pushing me and any of my muscles, I was the sorest thing ever. Physio's looking at me going, I don't know how, you just do what you do. We just we'll do gym and stuff at every club I've been at, and gym has never been fantastic for me. I can't get, I'm so stiff hips and hamstrings and stuff like that. I can't get into the positions to do certain things. I tried so hard to lengthen my hamstrings, to do everything on it, and we were doing it for I was at Accrington, and I'd done it for about 8 months solid, and then the physio looked at me one day and we tested it, and I think I was the exact same 8 months later trying to lengthen everything, and he just said, well, you don't get injured, so what's the point? You're 24 now, so do what you have to do, maintain yourself the way you have to do it, and every club I've ever been at, when we do gym sessions and stuff like that, I'd have my own individual specific programme. The lads will have individual programmes as well, but they'd be doing power programmes and stuff like that. Mine is just to keep me ticking over. There's no, and I don't know whether that's a big reason why my career has been as long as it has, that I haven't been putting the loads through my body of what everyone else is putting through their bodies. I don't know.
It's also you're putting the ball in the back of the net, Podge.
Well, there's that side of it as well, but I mean as in physically not being injured. I've physically been available, I'd say, for 95% of games that I could have played in that 18 years.
As well as scoring, but that's a big asset.
But that's huge for a manager as well. Knowing players are available, constantly available. He's always fit. He's always fit. He's always involved. He's always ready. Jim Bentley said that to me at Morecambe when he was signing me. He goes, "I've just looked at your one thing I look at first is injury records," and said, "You're on the team sheet for every week." Whether you're starting or whether you're involved, you're always on the team sheet, so that means you're always available. So when you're at a club like Morecambe, who wouldn't have the resources of having someone else, he said that's worth 2 players to me.
Yeah, of course it is.
Because you're always available, and that was the same at Morecambe.
But they look at a pattern, and they'd see 2 or 3 games and he misses one, 2 or 3 games and he misses one. Take a miss on him.
100%.
Get this lad in who might be just as good or just as good. Never misses a game. But always on the team sheet. Always there.
But that's
what you get.
It's a business. You've got to have lads there. There's no point having lads there and paying them X amount a week.
Of course, if
he's going to be available 2 times every 5 weeks.
Well, you're an investment, aren't you?
But that's it.
Do you know what I mean?
You're a commodity.
So you're going to buy a car and he drives every second day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's it. You'll take chances. You might have one player in your squad that you can take a chance on that.
It's usually if he's on the way down, right? So it's usually a player that's winding down. You might say, well, look, we can mind him in relation to training, give him the best recovery and the best of physio, and we might get 19 out of 21 games.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You see that with the defenders.
Yeah,
that would be the defender side of it. The other one would be anyone that was an attacker. They're going, right, if he's only available for 1 and 3, how good is he? Will he win that game for us? And teams will take a chance on that. And we'll get him right.
Goals are crucial too. You picked up goals every club you went to, so
that always helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Michael O'Neill comes into Rovers, brings in Gary Twigg.
Yeah.
How does Sligo come about?
I I was playing bit part at Rovers when Michael came in. I was after getting Player of the Year.
Did you look along with him, Hodge?
No, I did. He had his own way of playing. He brought Gary was going to be his main. We had Desi Baker at Rovers the first year I was there, or the first year he was there, which was just before Michael came in. And for whatever reason, it wasn't working with Desi with Pat Scully. There was no clash of personalities or anything like that. Desi's a larger than life personality, and Pat would always been perceived as being like he could fly off the handle at any moment. For me, brilliant. Never did anything like that. I seen it happen a couple of times, but not as much as what everyone else spoke about would happen.
Yeah.
So, but there was no clash of personalities between the two of them. They played together. Desi could win a game on his own. It just wasn't working. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Then Desi went out on loan. I was playing, got Player of the Year at Rovers. Change of manager happened, and Michael was always bringing in Gary Twigg, who was his number one player, which was fair enough. But then there was always it was going to be the next player, then who was going to be the partner, because we were playing two up front at the time.
Yeah.
Desi came back in pre-season and was, to be honest, outrageous. Like absolutely outrageous. He had a new lease of life. There was a new manager there. Things were working. He wanted to go on a partnership, and the two.
Where did he go on loan to?
I want to say, I could be wrong on this, but he came to us from Longford. Where did he go on loan? Did
he go back
maybe
to Pats?
Shells
No,
or something like that? Maybe back
that
to
loan
Shells.
period, was he banging in the goals in the loan period?
No, it didn't.
No.
I don't think it really
Just
worked
came
out. It
back
just
and
didn't. He
worked
came
out.
back because he was on contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, he came back. He had 1 year left in
And
his
it just
contract,
worked out.
and everything clicked.
Yeah.
Everything clicked between him and Twiggy, and the two of them were outrageous together. I mean, I couldn't do anything. Like when I got in and played, I scored. I got left out of the first 2 games of the season that year, out of the squad completely. The first game at Tal, I got left out of the squad. And that hurt me, because I was thinking, when I signed for Rovers as an 11-year-old, I think in 98 they turned the sod on Tala.
That's right, yeah.
But we would pass it every day going to training when we were up in Dublin, and 2000 they were ready to restart building on it. Then everything got delayed.
Yeah.
But like, I always wanted to be involved in the first team that was playing there. Like, but I got left out of the squad for the first game, and it took me by surprise. It was the first game of the season against Bray.
That's a dagger, isn't it?
And I was like, okay, right, I was Player of the Year. And maybe I didn't have a good pre-season or not, I don't know. I didn't think I had a bad pre-season. I didn't think I had a great pre-season. I was no different than what was going on, but I thought, well, at least I'd be on the bench here, like if Gary. And I'd scored the previous week up in we played Athlone away in a pre-season friendly, and I scored in the last friendly, and I thought, we'll be involved. But yeah, just the two of them were unbelievable up front as a partnership. Brecon City. He was in I think it was Brecon. Michael was managing over, I think it was Brecon as well. And so that's where he came from. But
Goal scored up, Hodge, right?
But he was talking, it's funny, right? We were talking about, like, Michael was saying, I want this absolute whippet to come in who's going to be doing like lightning fast and all this, and we couldn't get him. And next minute we got Twiggy, who would, he'll probably tell you himself he was slow as a wet week. But he, again, knew where to be, and the ball would come into the box and it would fall to him, and it wasn't coincidence that was falling to him. He was good in the air. He was a clever footballer. I was thinking, how is he playing at that level over in England or in Scotland? Why is he at that level? Or why? And just, again, go to clubs, it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
But as I said to you, the two boys had an unbelievable partnership, and I couldn't just break it. Every time I got a chance, I'd do well, and I might have scored. I scored one of my first touches in the third game of the season against Drogheda away. I was in the squad, came on and scored late on an equaliser, and then was playing a couple of games, would come on. Desi might need a break, I'd play, do well, but then whenever Desi and Gary were fit, they would play together, and rightfully so at the time, because they were doing so well, and that was it really. There was no falling out with Michael at the end of the season. They offered me a new contract, and I turned them down because Sligo Rovers Paul Cook wanted to sign me, because every time I played against Sligo, Paul said this to me when he signed me. He's like, the reason I'm signing you is because you score every time I play against. So at least you can't score against me now. So I hope you score for me.
Yeah.
And Owen Doyle had just left Shamrock Rovers in the June window just before that, and I think he probably had a big say, and Cookie had asked him a few things, and because he had rang me, see interested in coming over. I went over and I rang Michael and I said, look, I'm going to sign for Sligo Rovers. And Michael said to me, I'll never forget his words, and he just said to me, I think you're making the right move. I don't want you to do it because I want to keep you here, but that's selfishness. but I think it's the right move for you, and I think you're going to thrive over there. And I was like, fair play to you, like, and
that was a fair thing to say, wasn't it?
Yeah, but like I said, there was no falling out or anything. There was no issues.
Good coach.
You know? Very good, very good. Really good.
Michael, she brought Northern Ireland to the Euros or the Worlds.
Yeah, he did, but he had Trevor Crowley with him as well, who was
Crowley's good.
Trevor was brilliant. But they just seemed to suit each other at that time, and they were very good. But
that's the way it goes.
But we messed up. We should have won the league that year. We beat Bows at Tala.
That's the one you scored.
Which was an unbelievable moment. But one of the funniest things I've ever witnessed happened after the game. So Jason Byrne had missed a penalty.
Yeah.
He skied into the car park end, and there's a video of it from behind the goal that I'd scored in, and I'm standing at the halfway line, and he missed it, and I'm celebrating like I scored the goal, like 10 minutes before, you know. So, because I was thinking, we're 1-0 win now, and I've scored the winner, you know, selfishness.
Yeah.
We're walking out after the game. My dad was there, and Aaron was there as well. And I'm trying to think how old Aaron would have been. He might have only been 12 or 13, maybe young. No, he might have only been 10. And Jason Byrne happened to be walking out, and Aaron turned around to him at 10. He says, Jason, he says, I think your ball's over there under that car. And well, he just I don't know what if looks could kill.
Yeah.
I think, but I'd say he must have got into the car, or maybe a couple of days later and had a little laugh at it, because he's just thinking a young lad to say that for him.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But it was one of the funniest things I've ever heard him say. Anyway,
that game was live on RT2 Friday night, because I was down playing in Pats, and we came back into the clubhouse, and Tom Hennessy was standing there looking at it. And you just scored. I never seen a man smile so wide.
Oh, Tom,
he couldn't believe it. Carlow man for scoring in Dublin Derby. It was no television was about size of matchbox in Fran's office, and we all gathered around it. I swear to God,
it was brilliant moment. But that was, I think there was 5 games left in the league, and we were top of the league by a couple of points then, and
didn't finish.
The night we lost it was the night we played Cork, and Cork were going through financial issues, and we didn't know, they were refusing to play, and they were sending up the reserves to play. And it was on the Friday, and the Friday was payday, and if they didn't get paid, they weren't coming up. They weren't coming up, and they didn't get paid, and we're not playing. And all of a sudden, somehow someone came over to them. The owner came over, and at the ground, I think it was only 1 o'clock in Cork or whatever, maybe 12 o'clock, and the game was a 7:45 kick-off, and he went over and gave the lads the wages, and they came up and they beat us 1-0. They beat us, and then I think we lost the league by a point or on goal difference or something at the end of the season.
Who won that year?
Bows. And it was the year Bows went after that, because they had lost. I think they had lost to TNS in Europe that year, and I think that's when it was all about to fall apart for them. But they gambled massively on European football and everything like that. And then, but that obviously coincided with Shamrock Rovers getting ready to take over.
Just on that, Padraig, I wouldn't have been a massive league, or probably more of a League of Ireland fan now than ever was, right? I would have always had interest in you and that. It's funny you're talking about Cork was struggling. You mentioned Limerick changed them a few times. Bows had issues. Shells had issues. The stability is nearly there now, isn't it? It's almost like they're doing it right now.
Yeah, but that's the reason I was in England for so long. I had opportunities to come back to Ireland, but Rovers tried to sign me. Bows tried to sign me, Pats tried to sign me. They all the big teams at the time, Dundalk were in for me. Yeah. A couple of times, but I never.
Dundalk was a team at the time, really.
Yeah, but I never came back because you didn't know. If you went to one of those teams and it didn't work out, there was no next level down for you. Whereas there was 72 professional teams in the football league, and there was another 40 full-time teams below that in the conference, and Conference North and South. So the pyramid system in England is it's unbelievable.
Who's Jeff Stelling's training his name?
Yeah,
and Amond has scored again.
we played a game in the conference. This will just give you the idea of the size of it. We played a game in the conference in front of 18,000 at Notts County.
That's crazy.
Which is 8,000 more than what Rovers got, which was the biggest attendance in I don't know how many years this year.
What's the capacity there? 10,000?
10,000, They got 10,000 against Bows earlier on this year. So the stability is over here now in the clubs.
That's the top level in Ireland.
You're not looking at a Premier League. You were looking at it for 20 years going, well, is there going to be an asterisk at the end of the year where it says, such and such has folded throughout the season, or they've been, like, you'd see it every year. Like, it was like, you're waiting for the asterisk, you're waiting for someone to fold, Sporting Fingal folded, you're waiting for the Limerick name change, you're waiting for something else.
I think it took, going back then, it took Rovers to take the step to put the stadium in operation, right? Get Roadstone up and going as their academy and all that crack, and then have the proper setup. I remember going into it with FC Carlow playing in the A division. I couldn't believe it. Offices, full-time workers, like, they just set the benchmark. And now I know it took a lot of other clubs, like, and some are still trying to get there. But I just think, I'll go back to use that word again, stability in the league we're in now is brilliant, and that'll bring quality, and it's only going to get better, in my opinion.
Yeah, it will.
It is
100%.
And the product is probably becoming easier on the eye to watch as well.
Yeah,
teams are trying to play out. Teams are trying to play over like, everyone wants to try play football the right way. There's no right or wrong way to play football, in my opinion.
Well, you go to the Cup games now, Podge, and you see playing out from the back at 13 years of age, 12 years of age.
But they have to, because if they're going to go over to England, that's the way everyone plays over there.
Yeah.
The first.
But it's good. It's the best way to learn it, I think. It's really good.
Of course it is. You make mistakes. You're going to have to make mistakes doing it, because the only way you learn is by making mistakes.
Like, don't be expecting a pat in the back.
Well, I see some people, when I was coaching over at Newport and stuff, I was coaching the under 16s, and I could see lads coaching under 12s and 13s, and they're doing the playing out from the back, but they're doing it unopposed.
Yes.
And it's all well and good because they can make the movements and all that, but, like, you need to put a person up against them, put pressure on them to be able to play out while they're under pressure, because everyone can play unopposed.
I don't think it's a pressure thing, Podge, right? I think it's giving a defender a smaller window to make a decision, but the correct decision. And I agree with you. I see coach do it unopposed, goes out to a centre half, he can take a sticky touch, turn on at 180, take 2 touches and ping it to his fullback. Not game related.
Yeah.
So I think the whole thing about playing out, well, I have a couple of mindsets on it. One is, ask the question, why are you playing out?
Yeah.
And the second thing is, decision has to be correct and has to be quick.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know, and I think that's where I would 100% agree, make it opposed, because decisions win games.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong.
Do you know?
Do the first 2 unopposed so they know what they're doing.
Demonstrate it.
Then
put the pressure on.
Put the pressure on, then put the opposition in, and
but
generally what you'll find is...
run at that, Padraig, is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, of course, because you'll pick up bad habits, but generally what you'll find is when, and one of the best bits of advice I've ever got, the first pass you see is probably the best pass you're ever going to... You'll overthink it if you've time on the ball, but the first pass you see is 99% of the time the best pass for you.
For the player on the ball.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
It might be the best pass to affect the game.
No, but it's the best pass for you on the ball, because even if you move the ball 5 yards, if you move the ball 5 yards, no matter where, it might look like a nothing pass, but you're moving the opposition.
But what people don't understand about the whole thing about shorter passes, I think Pep said this, right? If you're playing shorter passes,
Pepe Dolan.
Yeah, Pepe Dolan said this. if you're playing shorter passes, you can counter press quicker. You get me? So if you're playing 5, 10, 15 yard passes and they're shorter, when you lose it, you should have more players around it to counter.
Of course, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And there's a whole mindset behind the short pass thing, right? Yeah. On coaching, you're A licence, are you?
A licence, yeah. Got my A licence when I was 28, 29.
Did you enjoy going? Is it the FA or FA one?
I went through the IFA.
Right, okay.
Up in the north.
Do you have the highest pass rates for you?
Well, just because it mirrored with the season.
Okay,
mirrored with
gotcha.
And there was an intensive course that I went up there, and I done the B licence first. And you go there for 10 days, and I stayed for another 11 days. I'd done the B licence, and then you do all your coaching hours and that. But I had started the A straight away on top of that. So I was there for 21 days up in the Crown Plaza Hotel. It was brilliant, but you're doing it like I was doing it with, so just a fully professional course. Yeah. So Stilian Petrov was on my course. I had the first ever session I coached was a 4v4 possession thing.
To give you a topic?
It was just midfielders, right?
Okay.
And I had Stilian Petrov on my team. Did
you pick the teams, yeah?
No. I had a fella who had won Copa America, Luis Jimenez, Copa America and Serie A, and the Champions League with Inter Milan and Mourinho's team.
Wow.
Phil Bardsley and
Phil Barnes played with United.
Yeah, fullback.
And I can't think of the fourth
Hatchet
one.
man.
And I'll never ever forget it. I knew the point I was going to make, and I walked straight in and I froze.
Yeah.
Because all I could think was, I'm trying to tell Liam Petrov how to play the field here.
Yeah.
And
was he Celtic? He was
Celtic
Aston Villa, wasn't
he was Celtic and Aston Villa, but he
he got sick, didn't he?
he very, very sick, yeah. Being in his company, he told the whole story about it. It's one of the... He told the story to a group of 20 of us there, and it's one of the most emotional things you'll ever hear.
I'd say that.
Like, and because I'll go back to that in a second, just when I was saying about I stepped in to tell him, like, what mistake he was making.
Yeah.
But he turned around and he said after it, because I fumbled my way through it then, and I got there eventually and everything was fine, and he just said, look, whatever about lads' careers, where we've played, all that, he said, we're all the same level as coaches.
Yeah.
He said, no one here is better than anyone else at coaching. No one here is better than anyone at coaching, because we're all here doing our B licence.
Yeah.
We're all the exact same level. And then it was like straight away.
It could have been an arse and made you feel awkward.
Yeah, but then, again, going back to like how his mindset like completely changed since he got sick and stuff like that. And he said he was asking, sitting down in the bar one of the evenings, and we were having a drink, and he says, do you want to be a coach or a manager? And I said, I don't know. I said, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Maybe longevity wise as coach, like, as in there's more jobs in coaching, you're not going to get sacked, and blah, blah, there's more academy coaches.
Probably a bigger money in managing, but more job.
But how long are you in management
longevity.
for? Right? How long are you in management? But don't forget, like, I'm talking to a fellow where money might not be an object to him, because he might have been on 50, 60, 70
He's
grand
probably
a year.
at Villa. Is he a player? He's probably at Villa. Did he have a role at Villa? Did he?
He was gone back as a coach.
He was,
at the time, but he was doing the underage. But I was like, it was more the fact of like, some of the lads on it would never need to work again.
Yeah.
The money they've earned in their careers.
Yeah.
I do, because it wasn't as lucrative as them lads, right? And so I was thinking of longevity wise, and he turned around to me and he said, how do you know you won't be the best manager in the world? And I said, yeah, but what's the chances of that? And he goes, well, I had 1% chance to live from cancer. And I said, but you've won this one. I said, how can I come back to that? Like, it's like, you're right. How do you know? How do you know if you don't try it?
That's nuts, isn't it?
So that's genuinely, like, I've always been, since that moment, like, I've kind of kept my eyes, like, every option open, and decided, you know what, he still ain't, and brilliant, like, such a nice lad. He'd stay in contact. He's still in contact with me now, and all that. Like, and it's just, but like I said to you, like, he made everything real.
Yeah.
You know, you see his story, and it's, such an emotional story. How he's come back from where he was, do not know. He's saying to us, like, his kids, he couldn't see his kids I couldn't touch his kids for like 9 months and stuff like that. He couldn't give him a case and so on. And I go, wow. Like, it's just. But yeah, no.
Memories over medals, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the best statement ever.
I was going to say, on my B licence, Stephen Bradley was on my B licence.
Yeah.
McAteer and McMahon were there for a few days. And I done that. I had something very similar to you. It was a 4v4, but it was pressing. And I actually made sure I had the worst 4.
Yeah. Because
you couldn't get in coach podge if you had the best 4.
Well,
that's what I always thought.
Like, it was impossible for us, because it was just, like I said, a fully professional.
Yeah.
Like, it was 24 professional footballers there.
Yeah.
And, like, again, the worst professional footballer was a good player. Like, he was well able to, he knew what they were doing. But
you'd see
it was like
flying around, man, and these, like, all the boys would be semi to ex-pro, and a couple of big names, Bradley, McAteer, McManaman was in around, but they only were there for a few days. But the ball would be flying 100%, and you'll be given a topic. Sure, I can't stop this.
Yeah.
It's
amazing. Paul Warren started his B licence with me. He was manager of Derby County now. He was managing Rotherham at the time without his badges. Because he was the fitness coach there, and they were after sacking the manager, and he was a player there, and they loved him. And you go at the beginning and you say, I'm here. No, he basically talked him into taking the job, and he said, I'm here because I need to get my badges, because I'm after getting convinced to take the job. Like, and he was brilliant. He was so good. Again, there was like so much learning you do. The best learning I had was actually when you were sitting down in the bar in the evenings and you're having a conversation with everyone, and you're networking.
Yes.
And you were learning from everyone off that. But like you said, the sessions were flying. Like the lads were pinging balls down.
Little bullet points,
but it was brilliant. Like, so I done my coaching badges. I coached in the academy at Newport. I coached under 16s for a year, and I was one of the lads. in charge of giving out the professional contracts.
Brilliant.
At the end of the year, but also in charge of telling lads that their dream is ruined. Like
assessments kind of thing, assessments director.
No, it's like sitting there in the meetings with their parents.
Like Simon Cole, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Sitting there. No, sitting there. I was coaching them and I was doing the games and all that. I was fully immersed in it. Like
the paperwork on that side of a Podge over there, them academies is next level as well.
Yeah. No, there was a lot of paperwork involved in it. But the hardest thing is when you're sitting there with we used to do every 6 weeks. We do bring the parents in and we have individual development plans for the players for 6 weeks blocks. 6 week blocks. It'd be this for 6 weeks. This what you need to learn, work on. This what you need to work on. This what you need to work on. But then every 6 weeks you'd sit down and you'd sit down with the parents and say, look, this is how it's going. This is how it's going well. It's not going well. We're struggling on this bit, because you have an idea who's going to get a professional contract at the end of the year. You know who's going to be getting. I think the squad of 18. We were giving out 9 pros to go. Sorry, not 9 YTS. They all YTS, so the U team, but they were going to be professional. But some people. You knew who was going to get one, and some people you knew they weren't going to get one, but then there was a couple in between. But I found that the ones who found it harder to accept it were the ones who were further away from getting one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, than the ones in the middle. We had a couple who were a shoe in for it and were absolutely shocked they were getting one. They're good at going. We had I was listening to you last week. We were talking about heading and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was a fella we sold him on to Fulham 6 months later. He was a Welsh international, a very, very good player, centre half. And I remember we were in a meeting with his parents one day. His dad was an ex-professional, and his mum was in the meeting with us that day. And I was like, I said, he needs to head the ball more. He said, he doesn't head the ball. I said, yeah, that's my fault. I told him not to head the ball. I was like,
Father said that to you?
No, the mother did. The mother said, I told him not to head the ball. I watched the documentary
on concussion.
Was it Norman Astle, was it?
Yeah.
I might have his first name wrong, but
Jeff
Astle.
Yeah,
someone.
I know
someone. There was a documentary on in England, and they showed it, and it all went to dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff like that. And I was just trying to explain, similarly to what you were saying last week or the week before, whenever I was listening to it, it was the balls are so much different now than what they were. You're not heading the old
multiplexes.
Yeah, the ball that you see. Yeah, but you're heading. But I was trying to explain, you're teaching the technique of it. So if you teach them the right technique, they won't hurt themselves heading the ball. Yeah. If you don't teach them the technique, and that's probably going to be the problem for younger ages now, when you can't head it for until 12, isn't it?
Is that in there now?
In the UK, I think it is, or until 11.
Yeah, well, it's gone in the States.
But then you're going to get to 11 and 12. Yeah. You're going to get to 11 and 12, and they're not going to know how to head the ball.
Yeah.
So they're going to cause themselves more damage by not having the right technique on doing it.
Yeah.
So now, look, there's studies out there, and if it does go, it goes. I wouldn't like to see it go as long as it's safe. You can only head the ball so many times a week as in an academy in the UK.
Okay.
There's only a certain amount of times you're allowed headed in the academy. I couldn't tell you the number now but I know that it had changed and all that. But
there's a market there for an old training ball, isn't there, to coach headers?
Yeah, there is. Yes, it's just a technique.
Let's develop one. A balloon, paint a balloon.
The problem is now everyone has already sorted everything.
100%. Yeah, there's an answer for it. Yeah,
but I enjoyed the coaching side of it.
Yeah,
like I said, I told lads that they weren't going to get a professional contract.
Do you have a parachute plan for them lads, or is it like?
Yeah, no. We would send them out to other clubs. We would give them, we would always have like a little pack that we would speak to other clubs as well and sort out exit trials for them.
That's definitely improved, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's not a case of like, well, you're not going to make it here, see you later, all the best. But the one thing I used to always stress
to important to have something for them though.
Yeah, but the one thing I used to always stress to the young lads, and this is like, football's opinions, and you need the person with the right opinion in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
I said this to every young lad that we were releasing. I was like, I hope in 10 years' time I'm looking at you playing and you've proved me wrong. Because I said, it's just our opinion here right now. But you can develop later. You can develop later. But the whole point was we would organise the exit trials, and the same as all the big clubs, they organise the exit trials, is because you could fit the system beautifully elsewhere. You could fit the system beautifully going up the step.
With Sligo, with you, with Michael O'Neill and Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah.
Just
100%.
It's just a different avenue.
100%.
Yeah,
And then
that's
what my whole point is. Football is opinions. You need
Yeah.
the right person in the right place at the right time with the right opinion. And if you've got that, you have a chance.
Yeah.
If it doesn't and you don't fit the way, it's not a personal thing. It's never a personal thing with anyone. It's just you just have to go and use that as kind of right. I'm gonna.
But no one likes rejection.
No one likes rejection.
You know?
I've been rejected at clubs. I've had that. It's horrible. You're left out of starting 11. It's horrible because you're thinking, what have I done wrong?
And that's not in foot. That's in life. Like where I work, you'd have people going for promotions or going for a different unit, and they didn't get it. Well, how'd you go on? Didn't get it. Oh, you're disappointed now. I didn't want it anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You just know.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, all right, raging you.
Whatever.
But I agree. It is a part of life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know? And I think if we create a life where there's no such thing as rejection. Like you're never going to create footballers.
Yeah.
You're never going to create superstars because you're so used to being told yes all the time.
Yeah.
And there's no rejection. You need the pain and suffering to progress. And even your example there of leaving Rovers, and that wasn't because of ability, that was difference in opinion. But to show you lit something inside you to say, well, I'm going to Sligo here now.
I wanted to make it and going to
100%.
Sligo, everything fell into place perfectly
Yeah.
because it was the right team for me, the right time,
Yeah.
and the right opportunity, and the right person was in charge who had a good opinion of me.
Yeah. And speaking of opportunity when you're there, give me that Paco de Ferreira story.
Yeah, so just a mad one to be honest with you. Like we had a fellow who playing with us, Mauro Almeida from Portugal, and I was living with him. And we were sitting watching, it was myself, him and John Dillon sitting watching a game on TV at 2010, so it was summer, so it would have been maybe the World Cup. Must have been the World Cup or something like that. And just said randomly, would you ever play abroad? Like we're having a conversation now, would you ever play abroad? And John was like, I don't know, but he was an English fella, and obviously the system was huge over in England.
Yeah.
So the be all and end all was England. For a lot of people in Ireland, the be all and end all was England as well. Getting to England, that's where they wanted to go. But I was like, yeah, of course I would. But just a throwaway comment, like no different than if someone asked you, would you play abroad? Yeah, would you?
Of course.
Would you play golf abroad? Of course I would. You know? So that was it. And then we played Shamrock. Morrow got injured and went back for a couple of months. But I was banging goals in over there. I was like, everything was just falling into place, like I said. I was top scorer at the time. I'd scored 17 goals up to that point in the league, up to the League Cup semi-final game where we played Shamrock Rovers. And the day of the game, there was a knock at the door. Morrow was coming back over for the game, so I knew he was coming over. So he knocked at the door and he's standing there, and then there's a fella standing beside him, about 6'3", long hair, goatee, or not, a beard, good looking lad. I was like, who's your man? And he was like, oh, this is such and such from Paços de Ferreira. And I was like, all right, we were there. You know, like the other Portuguese team. Okay, he's a sporting director. So all right, no problem. So anyway, we got ready and went to the game. Morrow was inside because I was getting ready to leave, go into the game. Thought nothing of it. And then Morrow was just in there to have a cup of tea, and then he had to pick up a couple of things that he had there, and he was going back. So they went into the game, played the game, beat Shamrock Rovers 2-1, which was a good moment for me. I just left Rovers
For sure.
7 months previously.
Scored
the two of them. We beat them 2-1.
Put that in your pipe.
Yeah.
And
celebrating in front of Michael.
No, I didn't celebrate. I never celebrated against Shamrock Rovers.
Did you not?
Scored, no.
Are you one of them?
I the only team. If I scored against them this year, I would. I'd celebrate because it's different.
When you score against them.
Yeah, it's a different thing. But
Okay.
that was the only team I never celebrated against. But anyway, after the game, Morrow came over to me and said, "Oh, they've put a bid in for you." I was like, "Who's put a bid in for me?" I forgot about the fellow over there that was talking about it. I was like, "All right." And so I kind of went over and spoke to the fella, and he said, "Are you interested in coming over?" And I said, Yeah. You're like I have to do a bit of research. He goes, "Oh well, look, we're playing Sporting Lisbon tomorrow night." He said, "I'm staying here. We can watch the game together. You can see what it's like and blah blah blah." So I was like, "No problem, yeah." So watched the game to beat Sporting Lisbon 1-0. I thought, "All right, may have to look at this." I was like, "This is interesting. This is the Premier League in Portugal." I was like, "Yeah." So got talking anyway, and then there was to and fro, and there was bids rejected, and it went on a week or two, and I played two more games. Played up in Finn Park in a cup game, FAI Cup game. Played against St. Pat's in Dublin, and that was on the Friday night. And Paul Cook just said to me, he said, I think something's going to happen over the weekend. I think the transfer window was closed on Tuesday.
Okay.
So he said, you might need to go back. And he said, I don't know whether they're going to come in, but he said, take Monday off.
Yeah.
And if nothing's happened by Tuesday, come back in on Wednesday.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, no problem. Went home, and on Sunday I was looking for my passport. Couldn't find it.
No way.
Couldn't find my passport. The passport was gone. Couldn't. The bid had been accepted. I was they'd been giving me permission, and I was flying over on Tuesday because Tuesday was the deadline day, and it was the last day. It was the only day a flight went from Dublin to Porto, believe it or not, which was half an hour outside of. So I was going over then. No passport. I was like, what am I going to do here? So got in touch with someone. I can't remember his second name. He was a TD at the time, Charlie something, through Shamrock Rovers.
Okay.
And he had done a big thing on the stadium. He done a huge thing to get the stadium through with the South Dublin County Council, and he was pushing it, but he was a TD. And I was like, I've no passport. I'm supposed to be flying to Portugal to sign for a Premier League team over there on Tuesday morning. And this was on Monday morning. I went up to the passport office, and he came over with me, and they tried to do certain things, and they told me what I needed to do, and I needed to get Garda signatures on my passport photos. There was no guarantee that they could get me the passport in time. I was flying at 6 o'clock the next morning.
Wow. And
so I went to the local Garda station around the corner from the passport office, and got the signed, went back, and they were like, no, we can't accept them, it's not your local Garda station.
You had to come home.
I was like, oh my God. So anyway, we got in contact with someone who was a guard up there, who was a guard in Carlow that was up there. I didn't know him. I wasn't bringing them across. Someone brought them across, a courier brought them across to get everything done. Anyway, at the end, I think the Minister for Foreign Affairs got involved at one stage. The Minister for Transport got involved. I think Micheál Martin was involved to try get this passport for me. So and eventually at 6 o'clock on Monday evening, I got this passport that was about 4 pages long. That was a temporary passport.
Yes.
I could fly out on, fly back on,
But couldn't go back out.
but couldn't go back out.
Yeah.
I'd have to get the other one. So the whole idea was I was going over to fly over there, sign, stay, apply for the passport through the embassy in Portugal,
Yeah.
and then get it all back. So anyway, went over there flew out at 6 o'clock in the morning. I dressed because it was freezing in Carlow. I dressed, I was jeans on and cardigan, jumper or whatever it was, and landed in Porto. It was 40 degrees. I thought, oh, went over anyway, and we're sitting there, and they're giving me a tour of this place, doing a medical, doing everything like this, and in the back of my head I'm thinking, right, I've still not signed here. It's like 10 to 12. They bring me out for lunch. I had to go to a dentist to get me dental records checked and all this because apparently some of your teeth is infecting your groin and stuff like all of this. It was
Nuts.
mental. To go to a hospital, get scanned, get the whole body scanned, get everything done like that. So I was doing full medical. And I was like they went for lunch, and it's 2 o'clock and it was 3 o'clock, and I'm consciously thinking,
Nothing signed here.
nothing signed here. The window's open till 11 o'clock tonight, but lads, the FEI office closes in Dublin at 5 o'clock, and you're not going to get anyone from there. And I was like, and I said this to them then, I was like, we need to push this on. So anyway, I think it was about 4 o'clock then. The offices closed at 5, so I knew there was going to be so they got in touch with them, and they were putting the paperwork through. And then there was a phone call from Sligo, and they were like, no, we want more money.
At the last minute?
Last minute. We want more money. I'm like, what do you mean you want more money?
Yeah.
I was like, you agreed a fee, everything was done. They'd be like, we want more money. We're not happy with it. I was like, you were happy with it for the last 3 weeks or 2 weeks, whatever it was.
Yeah.
What's going on here? So they were basically saying they weren't going to sell me. The chairman at the time wasn't going to sell me, and that was it. It was breaking down, literally going to break down over that. I don't know how much it was going to break down over. I don't know what it was. I don't know whether there was a percentage or something else was being sold on. And I was devastated. I was like, my mum had come over with me. My agent was there, and he was like, look, I'll deal with it. It'll be sorted. It'll get sorted.
Yeah.
Whatever way it is, they'll meet each other halfway. And they eventually got more money out of him, and I signed with a couple of minutes left of the window, and But it was brilliant. I loved it over there.
Do you think that would have been a case, Podge, if Sligo not done their homework on the club?
No, I just think it was a case of it was just about done, and then thought, I might get a little
squeeze
bit more
of them.
Squeeze more of it.
Was it a new world in relation to the setup and
they were ahead
styles?
of their time. Like we talk about being ahead of their time and coaching and stuff like that, and looking back on it, Rui Vittoria was our manager when I signed, and he was just managed Egypt recently. He's managed Benfica. A very, very good manager. He was at Spartak Moscow, I think, as well. Brilliant manager. Brilliant manager, but they were way ahead of their time. Like, so we had a squad of 22. We do an 11v11, and we had 3 goalkeepers. But the goalkeeper would play outfield because they wanted him to be comfortable with the ball at his feet. But if you're putting a goalkeeper out pitch,
Gavin would love that, wouldn't he?
Love it,
if you're putting a goalkeeper out pitch, like your right footed or a left footed one, you're saying, we put the left one left back because you can see everything like a goalkeeper. Back. They were playing deep line midfield, holding midfielder, because they wanted them to get the ball and be uncomfortable on the ball in that position.
Both sides.
So eventually they would be comfortable on the ball to receive it and play out from the back. So then they would train with us, and then they would go to their goalkeeping coach at the end, the goalkeeping session at the end. So they would do all their goalkeeping stuff. They do a small bit at the beginning, involved in the whole session with us. Everything from possessions to the running bits to the other little bits, any technical bits, they would do it together or with us as a group, and then they'd go do their own goalkeeping at the end. And it was brilliant. And at the time, like you don't realise it or appreciate it till you're older and you see people.
That's such a clever team, because that 6 role, which are back to the goal, that for a person who normally doesn't play that role, that's awkwardness in a circle straight away.
You're set. Well, I suppose
from a goalkeeper to play 6.
But even when you're even when the ball is you're in possession and the ball is being played around in midfield to go out to the back, that's exactly what it is. It's the same as your goalkeeper. You're 18 yards further up the pitch.
Yes.
You're 20 yards, 30 yards further up the pitch. Yeah. So you're just looking, you're seeing a different picture, you're seeing a different pass. But they wanted everyone to be passing the ball fantastically. But that was one big thing that, like, first thing I saw was like, but the level of everyone over there was unbelievable. Everyone was quick. Everyone was like lightning fast.
Are you talking like power quick?
Like you push
like
off
5,
the ball.
10 yards. Boom.
Even we had a fellow who was about 5'9", 5'8", and he was he was after getting. We had two lads. We had a fellow on loan from Benfica, Nelson Oliveira, who started up front for Portugal in number 9 in Euro 2000 or 2012 Euros.
The one that won, was it?
No, the one the next one. He started as the number 9, and he ended up going over to. He was at Benfica, came to us. He went to Reading and Notts Forest in England. And he was actually a Greek team and done his cruciate against Bows last year in Europe, whatever it was. But he was after getting player of the tournament at the Under-20 World Cup, just gone. And we had the lad who got a small 5'8" lad or 5'7" lad who got, or no, sorry, he was small, he was 5'5". He was after getting the silver ball at the World Cup Under-20s, but he was strong as an ox as well. You couldn't push him off the ball. He had a low centre of gravity. Yeah. He was quick as anything, but strong as an ox as well. Like, so the big lads who were really, really strong. But it was a huge eye opener to, like, the difference of like football in Ireland or football in England to. You
had to adapt, right?
Yeah,
also to that.
Well, I had to adapt to lifestyle.
To the weather as well.
We had to adapt to lifestyle.
Nutrition.
The first 2 weeks, I think I lost nearly 3/4 of a stone. Due to just eating like you would in Ireland. You'd have your breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
So you'd have breakfast in the morning, lunch at 1 o'clock and dinner at 6 o'clock.
Whatever, yeah.
But over there it was like you'd have a breakfast, mid-morning snack, then lunchtime was a dinner. It was a huge dinner. Then you'd have something at 6 o'clock. But then at 9 o'clock, food was so big over there. Their main meal was at like 9 o'clock in the evening. So like, but I was just eating like I would in Ireland. But obviously the heat and the training, and you're losing the like, you're just not used to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was brilliant. Like, it was one of the best experiences of my life. Very tough, very, very difficult being away from home. There was an Australian fella there when I signed, and he left a couple of months later. But he was fluent in Portuguese, so he could get me through the work. But the manager was very, very good with me, and the coaches, and I was picking up the bit of language as I was going along. And
you're on the lessons, right?
You were doing lessons and all that. But the worst thing the teacher said to me when I walked in, she goes, "This is going to be harder than Chinese to learn now." And I was like, "Oh my God,
nice to meet you.
What are you telling me this for?" I was struggling to speak it, but I could understand a lot of it.
Yeah.
Just from the dialect and then the tone and stuff like that. And it was quite aggressive, quite an aggressive accent up in the north of Portugal. But it was it just all it was just the standard was too much. That was it. It was just too.
Did you know? Like in your mind, were you? Did you have imposter syndrome or anything?
I'll be honest with you. I should have played more than I did at the time. And
you came on against Braga, made a big difference, didn't you?
I made my debut against Braga and got man of the match.
Yeah,
came on for the last 25 minutes and we were 2-0 down and I got man of the match. And then I was involved in a lot of the games. Like I played, like it was brilliant. I got to play against Sporting Lisbon away, Benfica away.
Unbelievable.
We beat Sporting Lisbon away. We beat Sporting Lisbon 3 times that year.
Wow.
We got to the cup final. Benfica played us in the cup final. They beat us. Was it 2-1 or 1-0? We got beat. We missed a penalty late on. I didn't get on in the game, but it was one of the best atmospheres I've ever seen.
Where was that played, Podge?
It was in stadium in Coimbra. It was like the old national stadium, I think, in Coimbra.
Okay.
But then the best atmosphere I've ever seen was we played Porto, second last game of the season, and they'd won the league title, and they got presented with the trophy. They got presented with the trophy before the game. Place was absolute crackers. Oh my God, I've never seen anything like this. The noise. We were playing them and we were 3-1 down with half hour to go, and Nelson got sent off, Nelson Oliveira, and I went on up front. I was thinking, it's the last thing you need, isn't it? This is a brilliant experience playing away at Porto. We were 3-1 down, 10 men chasing shadows.
Yeah,
we drew 3-3.
Go away.
A fella scored a hat trick for us, Pizzi Fernandez, and going back to the sporting director was very good with me. He would bring me out for food and stuff like that because he knew it was
away from home.
But the week before the transfer window closed in January, he said to me, we've agreed a deal to sign Pizzi on free transfer. It's just as long as no bids come in from between now and the end of the window. It's like 24 days left, so he's like, hopefully no bids come in. No, it was a week left, and because this was on this Saturday, and we played on the Tuesday. We played Braga away on the Tuesday, or Sporting Lisbon away on the Tuesday, and then we played Braga on the Saturday. Flipped them whichever way, something like that. And he was on loan from Braga, but they would let them play against their clubs.
Oh, there was no rule.
No, you could stop them, but they didn't care. They thought, well, it's the development for the player. We're going to beat them. We're going to beat them anyway.
Yeah,
we're going to beat them anyway.
Yeah.
You know, that was it. Anyway, the 2 games, he scored a hat trick in one and 2 in the other. He scored, and we won both of them. It was in the cup, and he was like, so it was like straight away. Well, no, you're not getting them for free now.
Yeah.
So then he scored a hat trick last game of the season or second last game of the season against Porto, and then signed for Atletico Madrid for 25 million.
Wow.
From Braga, like 3 weeks after the. So we went from signing a player on a free transfer, or Braga went from giving a player on a free transfer to us to selling them for 25 million.
But that's the benefit of loan deals, man.
Yeah, but that's it.
Isn't
That's
it?
it. That's it. That's it. And it was a business. Again, to go back to being a
100%.
business. But he signed for Atletico Madrid, and Falcao signed for Atletico Madrid in the same window from Porto, and they won
in Dublin here, or was it?
No,
Dublin,
they won. Porto won it. Yeah, they won it. But Atletico Madrid won the UEFA Cup the next year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then do you remember the Super Cup the following year? Falcao done it. He scored a hat trick against Chelsea. Chelsea was after winning the Champions League. But it was like that was the level of the level of players we were playing against. Like the Porto team was unbelievable. João Moutinho, James Rodriguez, Falcao, who's the best header of a ball I've ever seen, best movement of a striker I've ever seen, up live.
He went to United, did he?
Went to United. His injuries killed him. But he was unbelievable. There was the players all over the place, and then like even at Benfica, they had Pablo Aimar, Javier Saviola, David Luiz. Pablo Aimar scored one of the best goals I've ever seen.
Aimar's class.
I was sitting on the bench. I was sitting on the bench at the Stadio de Luz, and there was reclining seats, right? Leather reclining seats. It was like something else.
Like these ones right now.
Like these ones right now. And he got the ball just inside our half. It's on YouTube, and he got the ball. He went past 3 or 4 players and bent the top bins from about 25 yards out, and I almost sat forward to clap. It was that good. I had to reset myself. I was don't clap, but it was just so. But again, go back to like that's the level you were playing at. Like, that was the level you were playing at. And it was just too much. It was just
on that journey. Let's go a bit personal, right? One massive thing stands out to me. Was it lonely? Would you suffer loneliness? Or
no, not really. I'm all right with my own company.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
If you separate, we spoke about earlier about the academy player having all this time, right? Professional player having all this time. I know it might have been different even at that time, but to separate the football from it, did you have almost imposter syndrome, where you were kind of saying, Yeah, but coming from Sligo Rovers here. Yeah. Not that you weren't level.
Because I like the thing was at the time. It's only looking back now you see that like how good they are. Maybe I'm doing myself a disservice.
Yeah.
As well, but I know before we played in the cup final, the manager of the team gave a letter to everyone the night before the game and slid it under like he gave us all a letter at when we're going back to our rooms, and it was just a personal letter from him about the season's up to date, blah blah blah, all this, and he was saying like, I think you should have been playing. I probably should have played you a bit more in this, in that, like little things that, whether he meant it or not, irrelevant, because it made you feel good.
Yeah.
Made you feel good. But I didn't. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good in my own company.
Yeah.
And that's probably, and I don't mind. I never felt like I was missing out on anything, because when I was younger, growing up, I didn't ever feel like I was missing out on anything, because I always wanted to play football.
That's what, and I think that helps you in that situation, because not so much you'd fantasise, but you'd almost, what's that mindset thing where you put things out there? What did this call it? I can't even what to call it. But because you were dreaming it as a kid,
yeah, when
you get there, it's almost normal, right? Because you would have had ideas about it when you were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, before you even signed a professional contract.
Yeah, I suppose the hardest thing was probably like just being able to sit down and have a simple conversation fully in English.
Yeah.
You know, like I was having conversations with lads with broken English speaking to me, broken Portuguese speaking back. But some of them were the nicest lads. You were like, they were making you feel so welcome. They were trying everything to good to, you know, do you want to come over here today? We'll go do something. Like, so they were all including you and stuff like that. There was no anything like that. Like, and people were coming over to visit me all the time. Where it was like, so it was really, really good. Like,
you were very good to people as well, though, Podge. You were very good to people. Like, it was a jersey and Pats, a Pacos jersey and Pats, Newport jersey and Pats.
Yeah, like I played a little bit. I played 3 games for St. Pat's.
Just the greatest club you ever had, brother.
I came back down from Shamrock Rovers, right, when I was under 14. I was doing my junior cert, and I played 3 games for St. Pat's. And
that was so shush, Podge.
No, I always know that.
And I played 3 games, and because I was coming back down to concentrate on my studies and all this kind of crack, and I played to score 12 in the 3 games. Yeah. And I was playing centre mid, and I played centre back in one of them, just because one of my best friends, James Keogh, always tells a story. He played in Ernie Villa over in Roselands. Roselands. We played over there, and we were beating them 4-0 at half time, and I scored a 4 of them, and I was playing centre half, and James went in goal at half time. And I didn't score in the second half. The game finished 4-0, but I kept a clean sheet on him. Yeah. Now, he doesn't tell anyone I scored the 4 goals. You know, like, but it's like, no, I played. And then after the
Jelly was on that, wasn't he?
Yeah. Dara Harlan was on it. Mick Condren, Dennis Quinlan was on it.
Yeah. Billy Hawkley.
Billy was on it as well. But basically, after we were after winning that game 4-0, and I got back into the car after the game. My mother said to me, she goes, "I don't want you to go back to Dublin, but for your development you probably need to go back, because there's no point you being here." And I think it was killing her to say it to me, because she wanted me to
that's brave though, Podge, because you know what it is, a young lad of 14 years of age going winning games, scoring 4 goals from centre half.
That's no good.
If I'm 14 and I'm doing that, I'm saying I'm going fucking nowhere. I'm the cock.
No, but it was but that's like that's why the jersey there. Tom Hennessy, I would have always Tom would have been very good, like, and stuff like that, and he always stayed in contact. Was always send messages to my dad. Relayed them to me and stuff like that. And,
gentleman, Tom.
So look, it is. Look, I've tried to be nice with my time.
There was a lot of Pacos jerseys going around Carlow at the time.
There was. I'll tell you why, because I kept every one of them, and we were like, I kept them and gave them to people from back home, because it was like it was my first time. You see, like, we would get a jersey and you get charged for them. Like, you were like, if you kept them, you were getting charged for them. But but I'd keep them and give them to my friends and give them stuff like that, because it was like, no, I'm proud of where I am, proud of this, and
that's brilliant.
There's a photo. There's about seven of my friends. They all went down to Dingle for a week, and they're sitting in a back. I won't say the word of nowhere.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
and they're sitting in a pub, and they're probably the only 7 people sitting, and they're all sitting at the bar with all the Pacos jerseys on. The 7. There's a photo of them. There's like 7 Am and 21 on the back. And I'm like, so stuff like that is nice. Like, again, go back to memories for medals. Like, their memories. Brilliant. That's like the memories I have of all that. Like, it's brilliant. Like, and it was like, I said to you, I love being over in Portugal. Great to go back over to England then, don't get me wrong, because I could have every conversation every day was simple.
Yeah.
You know, so it was grand.
You're coming back to England. Are you bringing your ideas from there with you? Are you like not that you're going off to brag, but are you kind of saying, hey, do you know what I mean? About the keepers playing midfield, or you weren't that person. You just got on with it. You're ultimate professional.
Because if you start doing that at a young age, you're getting carried away with yourself. And I've always been of the opinion, whether I have an opinion on how we should play or not, it makes no difference, because the manager is the one who picks the team. The manager is the one who sets you up. You have to wholeheartedly blind faith, blind devotion towards that manager. If he tells you to run into that wall, you do it, and then you ask questions afterwards. Why did I run into that wall?
That's the professional mindset, though, Pod, right?
But that's the way you have to be to survive.
100%.
Because you have to be like that to survive.
Like at our level, like junior players would fancy themselves and they'd say to you, hey, I'm not a 6. Or, you know, I don't fancy 3 at the back. Or like, it's crazy you have someone coming over from Portuguese Premier Division into, let's say, a lower tier, right? And you're saying, I'm not passing on my wisdom here, because first of all, these are my employers, and second of all, I want to play every week, so I'm not going to pass on my egotistic ideas. But
I was a nobody going over to England though as well.
Yeah.
If you're like, I was a nobody. Like, don't get me wrong, the more experience I got in my career, managers would ask me questions, and I would give ideas back, or I would give my opinions. But I never held it if they disagreed with me or anything like that. I wouldn't be personal. Like, it's not personal.
You can't take it personal.
That's brilliant.
You can't take it personal. No. And again, like, even now at Waterford, Keith Long is fantastic. Keith would ask me like loads of different things, but if he said to me to run over and run into that wall, I'd do it, and then I'd ask him a question afterwards of why am I doing that? Is there a reason behind it? But that's more the mindset of trying to learn from a coaching side of it as well. And the older I got, I would ask questions to managers afterwards, but not to try
question him.
Not to catch them out, and I'd make sure they knew that. But it was more the fact of like, I want to learn for going forward. Yeah. Is there a reason why we did this decision? And it would be just a casual conversation. It wouldn't be. It could
be something you would bring forward into your coaching.
Of course, it is.
Well,
like, that's what you have to do. You have to learn from everyone, because you're not going to have all the ideas yourself. Everyone, like, I'm pretty sure, like, Pep Guardiola is held up there as probably the manager who has transformed football and all that. But I guarantee if you asked him, all them ideas are not just his. He's picked them up somewhere else. 100%. He's picked them up as he went along. He's picked them up from Johan Cruyff. He was Bielsa. He's picked them up from all that. Like,
that's a fan of Bielsa.
So like, you can't claim to know everything. You have to.
Isn't he?
He's brilliant.
Bielsa's brilliant.
He's brilliant. He's just
Bielsa's brilliant.
Look what he's doing now as well.
Yeah.
He's like, Uruguay to beat Brazil last night.
Yeah. Tell me this. We spoke about the coaching courses. Here's one thing I've heard players tell me this. Has the coaching course made you a better player?
Yeah.
I've heard that 100%. Before. I've heard lads tell me that.
100%.
Like, lads playing at a decent level.
You see games in a different way.
Yeah.
Tell you what it did for the first. It ruined football for me for the first 2-3 months.
Go on.
There's no such thing as a good goal ever scored. You were looking at it going, they were picking holes and everything. You're going, oh,
gotcha.
look at the mistakes. Like, it ruined football in the sense of we're watching Champions League final. I think the second year we were there, and it was when Bale scored the bicycle kick, and you're looking at it and you're trying to pick faults in it. You're going, why am I trying to pick faults in it? Just enjoy the goal. Like, but that's what you do when you're in the mindset of coaching. And
do that, Pop. Do you do that? I always do that. Do you pick? I'm terrible for a podge.
I'm a big critic.
Managers will always say, I don't mind if someone scores a worldly against us. They always say, I don't mind if someone scores a worldly against us as long as we don't give away a stupid goal. But then when that worldly is scored, they will look for a hole. What mistake did we make for that worldly? But that doesn't. But it genuinely did change. I remember went back to Newport after doing my A licence, the first part of my A, and I went back and we played a Johnson's Pay or checker trade game against Cheltenham, and I played holding midfield in it.
Did you play in the six?
Played holding midfield in the game, because the manager was just like, he was just like, we're struggling in the midfield today and I want you to play there. I said, I'm trying to like not put too much taxing on your body, just play there, sit around, move and see the game. And I could see the game in front of me, I could see everything. I ended up scoring in the game because I just went on a mad run at once just before half time. But like, it was good to like do that. Like when I went over to England the first time, I played a lot of games on the wing. I played left wing and right wing.
Yeah.
And again, this goes back to you asking, the manager said to me, will you do a job for me in the left wing? I said, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I said, am I playing? He goes, yeah. Go play. I'll go play and then do it.
Yeah.
I was probably to my own detriment for 2 or 3 years doing that. Because I'm not a winger, but I tell you what, I'd run up and down all day long for you. And I'll give you everything in that position. I mightn't be great in it, but I will give everything for it.
You burst to go.
But then, but the coaching thing definitely
just came into my head,
player.
Because
definitely made me a better player. And, you think more about the game, but then you can also use that experience to talk the other players through games as well and get them into positions, because all it is organising.
Yeah, but I've seen a negative sense as well with players who would have been semi-pro that I wouldn't have coursed through the years, who affected in a negative sense because they try to control everything in the game.
Yeah.
Right? So as you said, they could have went into a 6, but to try to tell the fullback how to do his job. You know, if the centre half didn't give it to his back foot, that wasn't my back foot. And that they were over, and it actually ruined them, right?
Yeah.
You were with the Irish 21s.
Yeah.
4 caps. Fantastic. The standout for me is getting called into the training squad when he went on the FA Cup goal run with Mick McCarthy. What is that? Another step then again?
Well, I was in the squad and I was in the provisional squad, but I never trained with him or anything.
Did you?
No. I was in the provisional squad and on standby. I was on standby for the Gibraltar game.
You weren't weren't invited to sessions, right? It's just
no. You're just, the squad is named,
which
was brilliant. I was unbelievable feeling to be named in the provisional squad and potentially get that opportunity. And I thought it would have been a great opportunity for me to get over in Gibraltar.
Yeah, for sure.
Because at the time, and look, it would have been an opportunity to just give a chance or whatever and see what happened. But I probably would have missed the game anyway, because I broke my elbow. That was the one. I watched the Gibraltar game in Tully's in a sling.
Go away.
But like I said, I missed. I probably wouldn't have missed the game. I probably would have been completely.
Of course, your country.
But then I probably would have been ruled out by them anyway.
Yeah, the medics.
But I would never have tried to say it. But what happened was, I jumped up in training. Well, no, it probably wouldn't have happened because I wouldn't have been trained at Newport at the time. If that makes sense. If I was in the Irish squad, I wouldn't have. But anyway, I jumped up. It was on a Thursday, and I was coming home for the weekend anyway. I was getting the boat home, bringing the car back, and thankfully it was automatic, so I didn't have to. It was my left arm, so it was an automatic, so I didn't have to change gear. So I jumped up and hyperextended my elbow. So yeah, I watched the game in Tully's, but that's my mum and dad were over at the game, and that's when the John Delaney stuff started breaking.
That's right. Yeah.
I remember getting a text message from them. They were over there, and they just sent a message going, there's something big going on here with the FAI, with John Delaney or something like that. And this was the day before the game, and then it all started breaking the next day because they were over there and they had a great time.
The Wednesday night game then was a tennis ball game, remember?
Yes, yeah.
After remember the tennis balls thrown on the pitch to Viva? That's when it all broke. But I thought you were in training with them. Maybe I was told a lie, but tell me this, you see your name on a provisional squad, that must be...
Well, I knew the hardest thing for me was I got told by the club. I woke up and had about 4 missed calls. I was thinking, what's going on here?
Yeah.
I'm in trouble here. The manager rang me, and I had 2 or 3 other missed calls, and one was from the CEO of the club at the time, and I was like, oh my God. I said, I've done nothing wrong. So first thought process is, what's wrong? So I rang the manager first, because I thought, well, I'll ring him first, because he'll have me back either way.
Yeah.
You know, and then we'll formulate a plan. And I had missed call from my agent as well. Sorry, I rang my agent first, and then he said, ring your manager, because we had the same agent. He said, everything's all right. Ring the manager, ring Flinney. So I rang Michael Flynn, and he just said to me, he said, you're in the Irish squad, you're in the provisional Irish squad. But that was like, so 5 or 6 days before it was being announced, like the provisional squad was being announced, but I couldn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can't tell anyone, doesn't it? Like, you can't tell anyone. I was like, what do you mean I can't tell anyone? Like I've been told stuff like that before, but that doesn't mean, like, I can tell my wife, like, tell my wife and tell my parents. It's like, no, you can't tell anyone. It's like, right, okay, no problem. Straight off the phone call, rang my wife, rang Caoimhe. I was like, Caoimhe, I'm in the Irish squad, or the provisional squad.
That's nuts.
And it was like, it was unbelievable. But like, obviously, it had come off the back of all that mad stuff that had happened in the FA Cup.
Well, you went on a 3-season run.
Yeah,
8 consecutive rounds.
Yeah, I was close to breaking a record. I think
you were,
was it Stan Mortensen and Stanley Matthews record?
Yeah,
or something like that.
yeah.
I was close to doing that. So
I remember watching the game on TV. It was brilliant.
I missed the sitter against Millwall in the 9th game.
Did you?
I missed the sitter.
I loved your goal against Man City.
Yeah, it's one of my biggest regrets in football.
Scoring against Man City?
No, not celebrating it.
Oh, not celebrating it?
Stupidly, I thought, we can get something out of this.
You went to grab the ball, did you?
No, it's the 89th minute, so I just looped around. I just looped around and came back, and because it was like slow motion, and I was like, well, the ball.
Some finish, Podge.
Yeah. And the lad said to me, like a couple of days later, because we conceded about 45 seconds later.
Okay.
And the lad said to me afterwards, he said, if you would have just celebrated, he said, we would have still been 2. It was the 89th minute. All I could think was, we had a long throw at the time.
Yeah.
Mickey Dimitri had a long throw, and genuinely always in my head was, we'll get one chance here.
Yeah.
We'll get it. Again, mindset or whatever it was. And I thought we could get a goal. And the lad said to me the following week, we're like, if you celebrated that, we probably would have been still 2-1 for another 45 seconds. Maybe we would have been back in it. But yeah, it was brilliant. It was 0-0 at half time, and we were like,
so much
brilliant. They were just unbelievable. I think it was Phil Foden's one of his first games.
It was, yeah. That's
and
right.
He was we had played Leeds, Tottenham,
Leicester,
yeah, Middlesbrough, but this was next level. So
yeah.
I thought. Remember, after 10 seconds of the Spurs game, the ball got wrapped into Harry Kane from the full back, and he's played a first time pass out to Moussa Dembele, and I thought, oh my God, what is this? But that wasn't close to like what we were seeing at Man City,
isn't it?
Yeah, they were unbelievable.
Different
like
level there.
Ederson made a mistake in the game where the ball bobbled up as he rolled back to him, and he bobbled up and hit his shin and spun back. I've never seen a player recover as quick to it, get to it, and then be so composed on the ball then afterwards and just play the ball out.
He's
lethal, yeah.
He's brilliant, but it was unbelievable. That kind of whole run was
brilliant.
It was brilliant, and the score of the Man City game was like
great little finish.
When it happened, there was loads of people over in Carlow, and like Susan was over at the game as well.
That's right, yeah.
And they were like going, like I've been told this afterwards, but she was with my brother and stuff, and they were like, that was part of the score, wasn't it? It was almost like a surreal moment for them. So like, you can only imagine how much of a surreal moment it was for me at the time. Like they were the best team in England. We just beat I think they were the Premier League champions that year maybe, and Leicester were the Premier League champions
year before.
So we just beat the two of them, or we beat Leicester to get there, beat Middlesbrough. But yeah, it was just at that moment, everything I kind of touched was working. It was just, for whatever reason, there's just things fall into the right place, right time, and
that's a very modest reply, Podge.
No, well, it was though, because I didn't score against Colchester the week before. So it's just
on the ground there, Podge.
I think I had a better record against Premier League teams than some of the other strikers.
I could get a 6 series podcast on my FA Cup goals alone if I was you, to be honest with you. Like that Man City goal stands out on my head, and I remember looking at it, and I didn't see it live. I won't lie to you, but obviously I checked the goal. It was a bouncing ball. He got in. Like, I'm thinking, how does he know to hit that with his toe to get it up over the keeper? Because you see a lot of them ones going over the bar or going wide. Like, they get it up and down.
Well, when the ball got played long, Otamendi was inside, and I think Laporte, and one of them's headed it onto it's hit me in the face and dropped.
Yeah, it dropped.
And as it dropped, I could see, because Ederson always had to start the height, and we'd done our research on stuff like this. Like we knew how high a line he kept, because he was the ultimate sweeper keeper. He was brilliant at it. He was so good at it. And if the centre half doesn't touch the ball, it probably goes straight through to him. And his positioning is brilliant. But the minute it hit me, it just dropped. And as you're saying, I was running. I've not even lifted my head. I've just looked like that. But as it's in like a split second instinct, your eyes just, and you see he's miles off. So all you think is, I just need to get a touch on this.
Yeah. And
I got there because he was a small bit. It was not directly lobbed over him. He was a small bit to the side of it, because again his positioning was very good, and the touch off my face dropped it to a different position for him, and he hadn't time to set himself. So then it was a case of just like getting something on it, and then that was it. But it was a slow motion. It was a slow motion finish on the pitch. I can't explain to you.
A natural striker's finish.
A square ball going over the line.
I can't explain to you how slow it took for that ball to go over the line, but no one was ever getting near it, and it doesn't look like, I've watched it back for.
Yeah, of course you have.
I can't tell you how many times I watched it back. Yeah. but it never ever looked as slow as what it did at that moment. You're going, oh my God, this is actually
This is happening.
This is happening.
Regardless of the scoreline, they were scoring against the champion of England here.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
But you could only put in that place to score. I firmly believe that looking at that goal. That's the only place you could have put that to actually score.
That's super.
In my opinion.
Well, I was never going to go around them. Like the position, because there was 2 defenders on me, and he was coming that way. So it was, like I said, it was instinct. It was you just flick it, and then it was instinct.
Currently with Waterford, flying, 11 goals,
11, yeah.
Happy with that?
Loving life.
Let's put current Waterford group in the pyramid in England. Where are they? I'll put it another way. Do you think the gap is closed? The last time you were here with Sligo, your last League of Ireland club, you end up at England. I presume the gap is bigger now. Sorry, bigger then than it is now between League of Ireland and England. It's
a very difficult question to just give a straight answer on. But what I found is like the difference in intensity and the difference in physicality in England compared to Ireland is night and day. It's a lot more intense and a lot more physical in England, but they are still able to play as well. Yeah. But I always get asked the question, where would the top teams in Ireland, everyone always go, they'd fit in the Championship or they'd fit in League One, whatever. But it's so hard to get a proper answer on it because it's a 36 game league over here. It's a 46 game league over in England. The furthest any of the Dublin teams are travelling is to Galway or Sligo or to Derry. But you put yourself in England, you're 3 and 4 times those distance of trips. Like I was at Exeter and we'd play Carlow away, or we'd play Hartlepool away, or we'd play, up the northwest, and everything was like 7-8 hours up. Coach. 7-8 hours back, coach. You'd stop off, you'd train on the way up, you'd stop off, break it up. So you'd train at clubs would develop relationships. We could train in Manchester. We've trained at Carrington. We've trained at brilliant. The Cliff, trained at Salford's training ground. Bury, like you'd always, and you come down. We've trained at West Ham when I was at the clubs up north. You trained at Notts Forest. You train. Clubs always have relationships. They're travelling. Whoever was playing away on the Saturday, and the training ground was free. You travel up and you train, and then you go play your game, then come back down. But like the distance, you're playing Saturday, Tuesday. Whereas over here, it's not as demanding with the schedule. You don't have to travel as far.
Does that remove the intensity from here?
It's hard to put a real picture on that, though.
It is.
It's a hard question
to
give a proper answer. You'll never get that answer right.
It's the same as
it'll never happen.
The players in Ireland are technically better now, and they would fit into the system over there. But the individual player would fit into the systems rather than saying, right, this club would do really well over there.
Yeah, of course.
And that's not disrespecting any of the clubs over there.
No, it's not a disrespectful answer.
But on any given day, you'll see with all the European results in the Irish team, any Irish team could have beat a Championship team. We did it with Newport. We beat Premier League teams. But that doesn't mean we're a Premier League team.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can do it on a one-off, or you can do it on, and you could maybe do it on a 36 game league. But you just need to see everything in place: the travelling, the intensity of games, the physicality of the games, to actually put it all into a proper answer. And it's really, really difficult. It's not a get out for me saying, it's not like they'd win League 2 easily or they'd win League 1 easily. It's not a get out of that. It's just, I've played in those leagues, and in League 2 especially in England, and I see how tough it is, and see how good the National League teams.
The gap off the pitch, though, I say, is closed as well. Do you know what I mean?
No, financially it hasn't.
No, but
financially,
training wise, the sessions, the coaches in Ireland are probably better than what they had. Not the financial.
No. The coaching,
the players are getting coached better in Ireland.
The coaching is unbelievable.
When you were in your Sligo days, right? Like that.
Do you think it's down to kids staying here longer?
Yeah, Brexit,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you noticed this. Obviously, I'd be a football fan regardless. I see a lot. Josh Cullen's a good example, right?
Yeah.
Anderlecht.
Yeah. I'll go back to the previous point earlier on about when we were sitting in the house in Sligo and we got asked was would you play in Europe? Would you play? And I was like, yeah, of course. For years and years, Irish players have always wanted to go to England. And they've been forgotten about in the system because it didn't suit, because it was a 4-4-2, and if it was Wes Hoolahan, if he was Spanish, the team would have been built around him. Of
course.
Took Wes Hoolahan until he was 25 to get over to Livingston. After ripping Deportivo apart in the Champions League in 2003, he was unbelievable, best player on the pitch. but still he was never trusted because he was, you can't play him in a 2. He's not good enough to play in a 2. Same way as like other players have probably been falling through the net because they couldn't play in a 2 in midfield. They were number 10 and they would thrive now. So that's why a lot of lads going to the continent now should in theory make Irish football better.
Because we've caught up.
Because they're being exposed to better football, technically better systems, and being exposed to being in teams that are comfortable at keeping the ball.
Yes.
So in theory it should work. And then going back to with Brexit, lads can't sign for teams until they're 18 now. So, but it's better for League of Ireland clubs financially as well.
Yeah.
But it's better for the League of Ireland clubs financially then because they're in a better position going, we're not losing them at 16 when they've never played a game, but they've played. Like Sam Curtis is a great example. That he's gone. Sam Curtis has gone. Is that St. Pat's? He's played 75 or 80 games. He's only 17, 18. Just turned
2005. He played against Kennedy Cup. I know.
He was. He made his debut at 14.
Yeah, very good.
The people in England are thinking about Ireland as well. Like,
yeah.
You think about.
Oh, it's an untapped gold mine over
here. The fourth choice goalkeeper for Liverpool is that Brazilian guy.
Yeah.
Who Alisson absolutely adores.
Yeah.
He's only a chap. He's a Pats.
That's right, yeah.
I liked him because he gave me 2 goals earlier this season. He's just gone back now. He's just gone back now. He had a tough
you never heard of a Liverpool player coming to Ireland before.
But I think it has a domino effect, Podge, in the sense that it'll progress the coaching, it'll progress the players. Every club has an academy now.
Yeah. Like it's good. You see the work that's going on at clubs is unbelievable. Like we see that Waterford, like they're doing unbelievable work, and it's the same. Like the top clubs now all have a structure the whole way. Well, every club has a structure the whole way down, but there's a pathway for players to go through, which is brilliant now. So long may it continue, and I hope they're all successful with it. Like
for sure. Last question, Podge. Give me the feeling of getting to that 200 goal milestone. Did you ever think you'd get there?
I would have took 1 game and 1 goal, like one game and 1 goal. No, it was brilliant. I tell you,
200 professional goals, man.
I got the following week I scored at Exeter against Northampton, and the only reason I know this is because a week and a half later after the game, the manager at Exeter, Matt Taylor, called me into his office and he handed me a box.
Matt Taylor was playing with Bolton, was it?
No, it's different. Matt Taylor. Different Matt Taylor, yeah.
Portsmouth, lad, you're right.
Yeah, he scored all the worldies.
Yeah.
This one was a centre half. I don't think he scored many goals. Absolute brilliant manager, Bristol Rovers manager now. He called me into his office and he handed me a box. It was a big box like this, about a couple of feet long or whatever it was. And he said, "That's for you." He said, "Look, you can open it when you go into the dressing room, or you can open it when you go home." He said, "It's up to yourself." So I said, "Right, I'll wait till I go home." I opened it up and it was a framed photo of six or seven clicks from the camera of the build up to the goal.
Wow.
And underneath it has Padraig Amond 200 professional goal, and it has the date of it on it. I thought, that's an unbelievable thing from an unbelievable man. Like, it was just, didn't have to do it. It was just completely like to personalise that moment. And but he just made a really special thing for me at the time. Like, and I really, really like have so much respect for him. Like, I learned so much off him, coaching wise, when I went there. He was so good, and he would call me into the office, like, because I went there as an experienced player. They were a young team and I knew I wasn't going to play every week. But I went there on loan from Newport because Newport didn't want me anymore, and it was a case of, you're coming in to help us get over the lines. And he would call me into the office and he'd bring me through the system we were going to play, even if I wasn't playing the weekend, because he knew I had the coaching mindset and stuff. And he'd say, "This is why we're setting up for certain ways and certain things." I tried as much as I could, going, "What if you switch this one and put me in there?" Do stuff like that. But he was brilliant. But when he done that, I thought that was an unbelievable touch from him to do, and it's hanging up at home, like, and it's something I'll treasure. Like, so it was a great moment.
Your journey from front garden with your brother John to New Oak, to Rovers, to 200 professional goals is absolutely a journey that's...
It's a story, isn't it? It's a book.
It's a Netflix documentary.
It's a book, yeah.
Like, it's... And you know what it is at the very start? No trials.
No trials, yeah.
Like, all self-made.
Not self-made. Self-made is like,
you scored
brilliant
goals
coaching.
yourself.
No, but brilliant people. When I was younger, brilliant coaches, like the whole way through. People who, even if they weren't brilliant coaches, they were people who were willing to give their free time so I could, like, go play games.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
The journey is I don't think it's something that you can measure. I say that a lot, but I genuinely think the journey it took through professional football, from Pacos, as you mentioned, learning new language, to the clubs in England, to come back to Waterford, you're still scoring goals.
Yeah.
Like, there's longevity in you. I told you before we came up here, I always thought you were a predator. Remember seeing you score goals for Kildare County. I seen you score a goal there 2 weeks ago, the hat-trick. Predator, still.
Yeah.
Like, it's still in you.
Yeah.
Like, you could go get 100 more.
Jeez, I don't know about that.
Could be in you. But the journey's fantastic.
Try to hit 250 first.
Yeah.
Like your feet are
Well, I've still
fit.
got. I've fit. Like the last Friday night's game was my 50th game this year,
There you go.
That's brilliant.
and I still feel fit. I've got another 18 months left in my contract
Oh, you
here,
look
and
fit,
I
good
don't
man.
think that'll be my last.
More power to you,
contract.
Padraig.
Appreciate
Long may it continue.
We could keep going for a long, long time, right? But I'm going to wrap it up there. Podge, there's no doubt we'll be getting you back on, right? For part 2 of your story, anyway. A huge thanks for coming on. Really, genuinely appreciate it. I think it's fair to say, as I said, you are an icon here in Carlow. There's no doubt about it. And for young lads listening here that are in their own League of Ireland and all that crack, I mentioned Peter Grogan. I'd advise you get in touch with him, lads, because he'll definitely give you a good insight. And thanks so much for your insight into the world of professional football. If you like this, obviously, give us a share. Listen to it, give us a like. Any feedback, get us on the social media. As always, it's not my podcast, it's not Papa's podcast, it's Carlow Soccer's podcast. Lads, for this week and this fantastic episode, thanks again, Podge.
Just before you go, Podge, we have a show for the Mikey Ryan Memorial match.
Oh, yes,
that's
August
coming
the
up
10th.
in August the 10th.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get a Carlow select against the Donald Celtic team. We'll have a proper information on it next week's episode.
Brilliant.
So I've been in touch with a few people from Donald Celtic trying to get they want to get a Legends team basically, but it's hard to get.
Your own Podge.
35s. Podge manager team.
Yeah.
No, look, it's going to be a great day out for that club, and especially for poor Mikey there.
Who's an absolute
Tragically
gentleman,
went.
and I had the pleasure to coach
a
him.
really good player.
Yeah,
But we'll have more information next week, folks, and we'll give it a good show next week.
That's a wrap. That's for me.
Yeah,
All the
thanks,
best,
Warren.
lads. Thanks,
No,
Podge.
thanks for having me, lads. Pleasure.
Thanks,
Listen to you every week, and I really enjoy it.
Big fan.
Fair play to you.
Yeah.
No, I've listened to every one of them.
You're a
Listened to every one of
professional
them.
fan now.
Good. Cheers, lads. God bless.
boys.
Good luck.